Okay, this video is going to be a tactics video. It's something I should have covered a long time ago, but I haven't because I've been covering primarily the defensive aspect, which is how most conflicts start out, especially for a guerrilla. You start from the defense, build things up, build up your forces, build up the situation, then you go on the offense. So now I'm going to give you a battle drill that we used to use when I was in the Army for clearing trenches. Every unit's a little bit different, but I'll give you what we came up with. And this is how we train to do it. So here you go. So we have an enemy trench system up here. Trenches are not straight across. There's always going to be turns in them. Those turns are to cut down the effects of an explosion inside the trench. If you have a straight trench, artillery shell goes off inside the trench, the force will be pushed by the trench in both directions, and that can clear out a whole lot of people. They learned in World War I, put bends in them. How much distance is between each bend depends on the terrain, but you want them as short a distance as possible, typically about 10 to 20 meters at most. A lot of them you'll see 5 to 10. As I said though, it's going to be terrain dependent because your defenses have to conform to where you're defending. What's the terrain like? The hills, the dips, buildings, all that types of things. And on your trench you're going to have strong points or bunkers that will be put in. Now a lot of trenches you'll also have just gun positions, places where a couple people or one person can go to. So you could put, say, a machine gun up in here or an automatic rifleman up in there, and then you have the belt-fed machine guns, heavy machine guns inside the bunkers. Or maybe you'll have, say, automatic rifleman here, and you could have someone with a handheld grenade launcher, the example like the M203 and its equivalents and replacements. Maybe he's going to be located there. He can't be inside a bunker because he's launches high angle fire. So we got down here our attackers. We're assaulting this trench. This is typically not done as just a squad. It's typically done as part of a platoon, part of a company. So we got most of the element is going to be in support by fire. One squad over here has been designated. They're the ones that are going to get into the trench first. We reconned the area. We found the spot where we want to go in at. The spot you want to go in at is typically going to be a weak point. It's not as watched. Maybe it's farther away from the others. It's a little bit isolated. But you want to clear a trench going from one end to the other. You don't want to come in on the middle and then clear both directions at the same time. Can you do that? Yes. But then you're going to have one squad's going to do the clearance, set the position. The other squad will then come in. They clear one side while you clear the other. But how we did it, we would try to find the end, an isolated location, like over here. We have a position that's jutting forward a bit. We're going to take this. So we have our squad down here. We'll keep one fire team as our local support by fire. The rest of the units engaging over here. They're engaging, also suppressing any enemy fires, any enemy personnel that are seen in the location of where our breach is going to be at. So they're shooting forward. They're not shooting right at where this team's going to go. These guys come up. Typically a two-man team will then get close. The remainder of the team will stay out here covering their flank. Depending on where they're coming in at, if it's a single position like this or the side, a leg of the trench like this will determine what happens in this part of the drill. If it's just an isolated position like this, you're going to toss in one hand grenade in here, and they'll toss another one a little bit farther back into here. That will go off. Then these two that were here, they then go into the trench and they double tap everyone that's there. Unless that person is blown in half, has no head, they're clearly not moving anymore. If they're laying on the ground, they're still pretty well intact. Put a bullet in them, shoot them in the chest, shoot them in the face, blow their head apart, smash their face with your boot, whatever. Make sure that they're dead, because this is your breach point. Everyone's in here. As soon as these guys are set, these guys, the rest of the team comes in also. Once they have this clear, you have one person watching this direction, one person watching this direction. Back here, they signal the rest of the squad. Rest of the squad then comes up through that breach point into here. Now, we're going to have one team right now is going to maintain watch going this direction, keeping watch down here, while the other team is going to start sweeping this way. Now, we used to mark where we were at with clearing trenches with orange flags. We would get VS17 marking panels, which I literally just put it away. I had one sitting out here for a while and I was going to use it for this. They're big rectangular pieces of fabric, orange on one side, pink on the other. We would cut out triangular shapes from that, and then that would get attached to some type of stake. One time we used PVC pipe, PVC conduit. We cut one end at an angle. We taped the flag to the top. And then we would put in flags showing where we were at. So we would have flag down here showing we've taken over this position here. And then when we're secured up in here, everyone's in here, then we would put another marker flag here. This is a visual cue for these guys over here or any others that are over here that, hey, this is where we're at. Both teams should have a bunch of those flags. How many? Basically, it was as many as we could carry. And as we go down, we would put in more flags, so that these guys would know, hey, they're supposed to be putting fire on this right now, but as soon as we take this, we put up a marker flag, they know they got to shift. So we're clearing down at this point. We still have the one team here watching this direction. Maybe we'll have another squad will come up, they'll clear the other side if there's more trenches going this way. We could potentially have the fire team that's here, instead of just sitting here, we could have them move up to this intersection so that they now have eyes on this communications trench here and the fighting trench going this way. Have people pointing their weapons down both. I would have someone with their rifle pointing down the communications trench, someone with a light automatic weapon, squad automatic weapon, and M249 RPK watching this line of trench. And remember, we would have marker flag posted showing that that's the farthest point of our advance. If we have a nice clear trench like this, you move down the same as you would clearing a hallway. One person on each side pushing forward. One slightly in front of the other. You don't want them right next to each other where they could get taken out easily. Your weapon is pointing forward. The other few people that are on that fire team or in that squad, if you're now pushing a full squad this way, they're watching to the rear. They're watching a little to the front. They're watching to behind them. They get up here to this bunker. Clear just short, as close as they can get. If they can get right outside the bunker, so be it. One person will then go up. If you can get right near it, chuck the hand grenade inside. Remember, cook it off. Pull the pin. Let the spoon fly. 1 1000, 2 1000, 3 1000. Toss it inside so it goes off inside there. Explosion. Killing the personnel inside, and as soon as that grenade goes off, 2 people go inside, same as back here, double tap everyone that's inside there, make sure they're not going to get back up. And then 2 people will cover on the other side of the bunker, watch in this direction. When they start moving forward, put their little marker flag right up on the edge of the trench here so that they can see it. The marker flags usually are about a foot tall at most. They're not going to be super huge. Something that you could carry inside your pocket. You just pulled it out, stuck it in the ground up on a sandbag, in the dirt, wherever it would stick. Same thing, keep going down. Pushing forward. Keeping watch ahead, keeping watch to the enemy side. Get to a position we know nearby, we know there's fire coming from over here, so there's someone in there. We hear weapons fire from inside there. Well, we can shoot the person in there, or we can deploy a hand grenade, depends on how many you have. Trench clearing is very hand grenade intensive. Everyone should basically double the amount of hand grenades they have with them when clearing a trench, and you're going to go through every last damn one of them. Now, if this is nice and open like this, we can have 2 people will clear the inside of this position, while the other 2 will shift to the other side here, shooting down this direction. So we have 2 people. We'll stay low inside the trench, come around, shoot the ones in here. Other 2 are here. They're putting fire down on this direction. It all depends where you hear the most fire. We get this position taken. Someone then puts their hand up over the top, puts in the marker flag, and then we just keep going, position by position. We keep pushing forward. We get to this one. This bunker's a little bit farther forward. We'll have 2 people keep watch to the next leg. 1 person, 2 person, depending on the size of the bunker, will come in next to the entrance, depending how wide the entrance is. We hear there's fire coming from the inside, but you can do it that way depending on the fire. If you don't hear any, then just have someone look inside. Our battle drill was, there's a bunker there, a grenade goes in it. Grenade goes off inside here. 2 people clear the inside there. The other 2, as soon as that explosion happens, as the 2 are clearing in here, the other 2 come up, take position up in here, and they're watching down that leg, and then you just keep going down. And each time you take a position, make sure post a flag on either side of it, showing the rest of your force that you're in that location. I do recommend you swap out the assaulting teams if you're going through as a squad. Do one squad, do one, or one fire team, do one leg, the next fire team, do the next leg, and then inside the fire team itself, swap out who's the one that's clearing the position. Have 1 2-person team do this one, another 2-person team do the next one. Just keep swapping it out so that way people don't get wore out. If there's casualties, do quick, immediate first aid, but do not stop the assault. You can only clear a trench if you keep the momentum going, keep the enemy guessing. If they figure out what you're doing, they can stop you. They can put in their defense. Always remember, when you are clearing trenches, keep watch, not just above you, but also at your feet. Check as you're going down at your feet. Watch for tripwires. A defender can have booby traps set up in there. If they know the enemy is starting to clear that trench, you know, the last person that's moving out of that area trying to get to the next location so they can consolidate, that last person may set that booby trap. Hand grenades attached to tripwires, directional mines such as claymores, and also emplaced mines like Palm Z series mines. Very common to come across those in trenches being put in by the defenders as a way to slow someone who's assaulting into the trench. Keep watch for tripwires. Keep watch for booby traps. It's a very quick, very heart-pounding operation. I've done this more than once in training. I've done it stateside. I've done it overseas in several different countries where we trained for supporting the infantry when they were clearing trenches. The engineers, we did our own version of it. Infantry did theirs, and then we would come together and do it with them. They would be the ones assaulting the trenches. We were the ones that took care of bunkers, or we were the ones that were supposed to clear the booby traps that they came across, whatever battle drills they had for that particular time. Importance on this that you need to remember: identify where you are in the trench. Do not count on that they're going to see your uniform from over here and they'll know, hey, you've captured that far. In this type of situation, friendly fire is extremely damn common. When you put that marker flag up, you're as low as possible and you just reach up, put it up in a sandbag up on the top so that the only thing that's going up is your hand. These guys down here, if they see anything pop up while they're providing supporting fire, they're going to shoot at it. They see a head up here, they're not going to check to see what type of helmet they have or if the person's wearing a hat. They see a head come up, they're going to put rounds at it to try to take them out. Must put in markers letting the support by fire know where you're at. If you have radio communications, you've identified bunkers along the way, like this is bunker 12, that's 13, that's 14. The person on the radio needs to let them know, hey, we just captured bunker 12. We've just captured 13, on the way to 14. Communications must always be maintained visually and electronically with the rest of your element. It could be a point where you capture up to a certain point, like to here. You then consolidate, and then another squad will then come in and then take over for the next section. Whatever battle drill the commander comes up with for this operation, how he wants to handle it to keep people from getting burned out. Because remember, after you take this position, you have to consolidate, reorganize, and then defend. The enemy is going to want those trenches back. They're going to assault back in there as fast as possible. That's where these little communications trenches at that point that go back to the rear, they're going to be sending troops down those as fast as possible to try to retake this. You want to make sure to capture those, keep watch on them, potentially send one forward, putting in a booby trap like a claymore type mine facing downward. Maybe you'll have a claymore mine hidden in there, command detonated for the people that are here. When they hear there's people coming down, they'll look, set that mine off. Hopefully you get some of an idea on how this goes. This is something that must be practiced repeatedly again and again and again and again before you do it for real. Because of the possibility of mistakes is extremely high. Every element that's going to be part of this operation must be there for the sand table. Every element must be there for the walkthrough. And then you must do some dry runs, practices on the same type of terrain, same type of situations over and over and over again. Toss in those scenarios of, well, what if this happens at this point? How are we going to handle it? What if someone sets off a booby trap? What if the enemy tosses a hand grenade down the trench back at us? how you handle it. Practice, 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 practice. Before we would ever do something like this in a live fire for training, luckily I never had to do it in real life. Before we did that live fire, we would do at least a half dozen dry runs. And it wasn't until we've done at least 2 or 3 of them, just going bang, bang, before we would even get blanks to do it in simulators. Rehearse, 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 rehearse. Everyone must be able to do this in their sleep before you actually do it. And then when you're in there doing the actual operation, actually clearing that trench, do not let up the momentum. Keep attacking, keep pushing the enemy. You do not want them figuring out what's going on, what's your position. And I know some smartass is going to say, well, if you don't want them to know where you're at, don't put up the flag. Trust me, you have to have the flags, you have to have that visual marker. You need to let the rest of your element that's not in that trench know where your assault teams are, that clearance team is. Now, for all my engineer brothers in the Patriot and militia movements, always remember essayons.